Hello and welcome to a presentation on understanding the Australian Privacy Amendment Notifiable Data Breaches Bill. I'm Mike Ferguson, I'm the Data Security Specialist at Forcepoint, and I decided to put this presentation together because I've got a lot of people asking me about what does the Australian Privacy Amendment really mean to an organisation in Australia, what are the requirements, what do I need to do. So I thought I'd put this together and kind of explain a little bit about where this has come from. And that's a good place to start. I mean, why would we have a privacy amendment in the first place? The biggest thing is it has an impact on the Australian government because it affects Australian individuals. 5% of us will experience a identity crime each year, has a knock-on impact on us financially, and then it has a knock-on impact on the Australian government. So it's important for us to be able to be notified when this happens, so that we can make the necessary changes, change passwords, or move things around as required to that sort of lessen the impact. We may want to just trying to protect ourselves, and that's why this notifiable requirements have become about in the privacy amendment. And we're seeing this a lot in other countries. The EU have also put in place the EU's GDPR, and there's similar stuff in the US. So this is something that is happening globally as we try to protect our identities as we increase our online presence. So the privacy amendment itself is not something that's entirely new. It's been around since 1988, and this particular amendment about notifiable data breaches means that most Australian organisations are going to have to become compliant or put in place some controls before 2018, and that when this happens, when a breach occurs, you're going to have to notify those affected individuals of an eligible data breach, and I'll explain a bit more about what an eligible data breach is later on, as well as the Australian Information Commissioner. So this is just to the Australian government saying, hey, that this happened, and we are letting our customers, those affected individuals, know. And if we don't do this, it's going to carry a monetary penalty. So this is something that it's going to be up to $2 million for Australian businesses if this happens, or up to $400,000, sorry, for the individual themselves. So it's a pretty heavy individual penalty for that person that is responsible for the safe housing of this information. And so, what is personal information? I mean, it's defined as any information that relates to a identifiable natural person, so a human being, and the person can be identified directly or indirectly by reference to identification numbers or other factors. So things like physical, psychological, mental, economic, cultural, social identities, pieces of information that could allow someone to determine who a human being is, and maybe use that or fraudulently interpret, pretend to be that person. So a bunch of examples on the right there, but it's pretty understandable that these are things that are going to be able to make a malicious entity take advantage of an individual's identity. A breach itself is when somebody has unauthorized access, or the disclosure of information has been has occurred that was unauthorized by the individual itself. So if somebody else extracted my information without me without me authorizing it, that's where it becomes a data breach. And it doesn't have to be the actual breach itself, but any circumstances that arise to give rise to this unauthorized access. If you lose a USB or a laptop, or some files go missing that really contains all this information, it's just like, look, this has happened. Somebody might have access to it, and that's when we need to be cautious about this. The interesting thing is notifications only need to be sent out for eligible data breaches, not just a data breach. But to be honest, this is the definition of a eligible is really when you've got multiple data types. So if you've got a first name, surname, and an address, as well as it being multiple people, that's usually where it becomes an eligible data breach. It only has to be over one. So really, if you've got a single person and you've got multiple identifiable factors. So if somebody stole or there was unauthorized access to my name, my address and my tax file number, that's when I would need to be notified by the third party that lost my information. Or if you had multiple users themselves who had that information, had the unauthorized access to their information, that's when that would have to be occurred as well. and it's only on those eligible data breaches where somebody would have to be notified. And we can't hide away from it being outsourcing of our data storage. If one or more entities, jointly or simultaneously hold the same particular records for personal information, an eligible data breach of one entity may also be an eligible data breach for each of the other entities. So this situation could potentially arise in cases involving outsourcing. So just for example, if one entity stores personal information in an online platform provided by another entity, and both entities hold the information or even just process it, then both entities would have to let the customer know that the affected individual and the commissioner know that this has happened. So just because you got the data breach, you send your information to a business. The business may have a business partner that sends that information on, but the way that we look at it is you have a data owner, data processor, and a data custodian, and those processor and custodians would be the ones that would need to be letting the customer know that this has happened, that affected individual. So when it happens, when a breach does occur, a notifiable breach or an eligible breach, a notification has to be sent to the following entities. So the affected individual, for a start, you need to let them know, all those other entities, hey, by the way, we lost this information, or this information seems to have gone amiss, and we need to let our customers know, and you should let your customers know. And you also have to let, obviously, the Australian Information Commissioner aware, make them aware. Audit all the things. I mean, one of the things is that you may be audited from a commissioner perspective, the Australian government. So they're going to want to know that you have logged and stored all the notifications, not just the information and being able to represent how best you've stored the information, but they'll want to know that you have been able to notify people. So this is something that you'll want to be able to prove and demonstrate that notifications were sent out. Notifications must include basically the identity, contact details of the person, description of the breach, like what happened, the kinds of information that are concerned, and really some recommendations. I mean, you have to remember that your customers may not be as information savvy about this stuff. So, if it's needed to contact the banks, if it's needing to change information, if there's anything that you can provide to say, we want to help. Not only is it going to help your reputation as a thoughtful organization, but it's certainly going to allow you to if you can demonstrate that to the commissioner, certainly that's going to be much more beneficial for you. So what your technology needs in order to best protect yourself in this instance of data breaches. Most people are aware that the cyber adversary or mistakes do occur. And we're all susceptible to this. But if you can demonstrate that you've got best-in-class regulatory and compliance DLP policies that are looking for the data types that are specific to your industry, your region, and you were able to cover this across all aspects of your infrastructure, whether it is, applications, instant messages, web channel, going to Gmails, going to data storage locations, across the email, the #1 channel, and even now the cloud where we're storing all this information. If you've got coverage with all those regulatory and compliance information policies, that's going to be really beneficial, and that's absolutely something you should be looking for from a DLP technology. Notifications, obviously fully customized notifications that can be sent to the individual in the event of a data breach. So with full forensics as well, really important stuff. And then maybe customizable email approvals. So if somebody is sending out information from that is linked to the data owner, it should be the data owners that are able to authorize the extraction or sending of that information. So giving the business back those controls. Prevention against the breach is always better than just detection. So looking for early warning signs, things like risk ranking, using behavioral analytics is going to really help you to determine users that are making mistakes, broken business practices might occur, or even just somebody who is potentially going to cause a data breach. If you can see these early warning signs, that's going to be very useful. Cumulative DLPs are a really interesting topic because we want our businesses to be as dynamic as possible, and low threshold extractions of information might raise early warning signs, but we accept the risk that that's happening. We don't want to put in place blocks because in some instances it is important to send information around. So accumulative DLP capabilities are very critical. So, one credit card going to one shopping website might not be bad, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 100, whatever the threshold is for you, we should be able to accumulate those numbers, those incidents over the entire infrastructure. And when it gets to that dangerous level, we should be then able to put in place a different action, a block, a notification, etc. when this occurs. And they should all include deep forensics and auditing capabilities so that we can prove to the Australian Information Commissioner what we have done and what we've done to try to remedy the situation. Anyway, I hope you found this useful. I look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you.